Before we begin, I want to take the time to talk about life beyond our wizarding world. Following the recent events in America, it has never been more important for us to speak up and reject racism, exclusion, and oppression on a global level. We stand in solidarity with the Black community as well as those who recognise our shared humanity and fundamental belief in justice and equity. We've been reading, listening, watching, absorbing, and while we understand that we will never truly understand, we want you to know that we hear you, we see you, and we are with you. Black Lives Matter. While we talk about inclusivity and respect for all, it is also vitally important that we remember the significance of June to the LGBTQ+ community. It is a time for celebration and a time for memorialising the contributions so many incredible individuals have had on our shared history. Now and always, we love you, we appreciate you, and you are valid. And in regards to Harry Potter, while we know this is a very confusing time for many of you, as a good friend put it, a love, friendship and bond we found because of something someone created is not owed to that person. Each and every one of us came together to build this fandom, and it is ours. Always. Welcome back to Departure Denied, a dedicated Wizards Unite podcast featuring a group of regular WoW players who take part in most, if not all, events. Once again, apologies for the delay between episodes. We've had a few reasons for this, which we'll discuss through the show. On today's show, we'll be talking about the changes to the registry and fragment counts, the positives, the negatives, and everything in between. We'll also be talking about the current Brilliant event 1 year later, briefly looking at upcoming events and look back at all of year one of Wizards Unite, point out some of its highlights and give our thoughts on what we want to see from year two. And joining me today is...
Hi, I'm Laurie. I'm a level 51 Aura.
I'm Steph. I'm a level 53 Aura.
I'm James. I'm a level 54 Magi.
And I'm Beth, a level 55 Professor.
That's great. Well, great to have you all joining us today. And this is going to be a very busy podcast, lots to talk about. As you mentioned, we at the top of this, we actually haven't got together for a while, purely because of the fragment counts, which I think has divided a lot of the community. So that's basically what we're going to start off with because we haven't discussed this at any point. So let's begin with those changes in the registry and the introduction of the repeat image collection. This was an unexpected feature which we were told was requested from the beginning of the life cycle of the game. And I just got to ask them, what did we all make of this? I mean, what a mess, right?
Where do we even start?
It has fragmented us, hasn't it?
Yes, James.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I know I stopped playing as much as I did for a couple of days, purely out of not knowing what was going on, not knowing if something was going to get fixed, and just frustration, I think, in general. I kind of felt everybody else was around about the same opinion and not really know what to do, even though there was videos flying around. I mean, the conversations were absolutely massive. We had, our chat was just going crazy, and trying to make heads or tails of it was quite tough.
Yeah, and I mean, that is the problem as well. Just out of just us five on this podcast, the experiences of what happened to each of our accounts were so different. And I don't think that they took into account how many people were affected. And I wasn't affected very much. I lost more than I first thought as I went through and noticed, but nothing that I couldn't have lived without, so I was fine. But how our community reacted and the wider community, it made me not want to play for days. I barely played. Even now, I'm not playing as much as I was. But I mean, I know, Beth, you lost quite a lot, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the beginning it was just sheer lack of communication. I mean, it took them countless hours to actually come out and say stop prestige and stuff. So even though I'd held off in the very beginning, by the time we were, a few hours in, I just kind of got to the point where I was like, oh, screw it. I want to keep playing my game. It's unfortunate that it's not worked out the way they wanted it to, but whatever. And then I think by the time I'd woken up then in the morning, they'd put out a statement at 5 a.m. British time to say, don't prestige anything, there's an update coming. And that's not good enough. If you're going to be pushing through an update without communicating to your player base, and that update goes wrong, you need to push through something equally as quickly in game that informs people to stop doing something that they don't know whether they can reverse.
Yeah, and even after they told us it was safe to prestige, it actually wasn't, because people were prestige, so they were placing images that they needed to and prestiging straight away. So no excess fragments carried over. What people needed to do was leave the registry and come back in, so they needed to refresh it. They did push another fix to fix that bug later, but they didn't tell people that it was still broken. So yeah, the communication, well, as we know, it's dreadful for this game. We have been really lucky. We had a community manager who was quite good. As soon as bugs were happening, they knew about them because she was there listening to people's, feedback. But she could only give us what the company wanted her to tell us, and that has gone on even now. Even though Phases has left, Lola took over on the forums. Well, she's always been there from the start, Lola, but she seems to be more present now, because that's the only way we were getting information was through the forums.
And I think that's an important part of the conversation, is that throughout all of this process, probably the most divisive time in the game's history, you've had a change in community manager, you've had a change in front-facing representative for the company that people felt they could talk to and address these issues with. And that's obviously had a massive impact on the communication aspects of the game, and a lot of people are rightfully confused as to what happens next. Where do they direct these issues to? And it's been a continuous problem from the game since the start.
Yeah, the first problem, they said they would come out with a fix, which they did. They pushed that fix with no notice. They told us it was coming, but not exactly when. And it seemed like a lot of people who were playing on the night bus during that fix are the ones who lost a lot of their green stars. So the ones that they'd already placed, which we were promised we wouldn't lose placed images, they've lost them all. Some people have literally lost every single green star they had before the update.
In terms of communication, talking about Pokemon Go, the other Niantic game, as well as Ingress, they took the game offline for 7 hours recently to stop anything going wrong for people. And there was, 2-3 weeks advance notice about it. We all knew it was coming. We were all prepared for it. We're able to open our gifts, etc., do all the things we need to do. It was 7:00 p.m. our time till 2 a.m. We were all ready for it. We knew it was coming. And it just threw into the spotlight the complete lack of communication and advance warning we had from Woo.
I mean, if you look at Pokemon Go, right? How many warnings did we get in game about it as well? It was like 3 pop-ups. No, this is happening right now. You're getting quick, exit, eject.
Yeah, and that is the problem as well. I think a lot of people are blaming Niantic, but as far as I understand it, it's WB or Portkey Games, who are a part of WB, that are running the day-to-day of the game. They are the communication side of it. I'm pretty sure they do a lot of the actual, all the events and everything, and they have Niantic as support, and it's their platform that they use, so they're there for a bit of tech support. So I don't think that any of this was Niantic's fault. I mean, if it is, then they need to make it clear who exactly, who was to blame for this. But I do think that it was WB, and I think the way they've handled it is atrocious. So they came out with the fix that was another bug, and people lost green stars. They pushed another fix for that. Again, they didn't take the game offline or warn us to stop playing during any of this. And then that worked for quite a lot of us, but it hasn't worked for a lot of people. And they've now decided that they're not doing anything else to fix their registries. They've given us some free gift to make up for it, and that's it. To the point where when it went live a couple of hours ago, they closed the thread and they've moved it as well. So no more conversation. Support are coming back to people with just go see the forum, or this is your sorry, you've got the gifts, that's it, and closing their conversations down. They're not escalating when people are asking them to escalate it up. They're ignoring that.
What was frustrating me is that with the complimentary gift is that it affected people in different ways. And it affected some people more than others, but everybody gets the complimentary gift. And that is like a little bit frustrating because it doesn't actually fix anybody's game. All right, if that can't be done, fine. But surely the people who have been affected the most should really have something else as a bit of a sweetener to what's happened as well.
Yeah, like I don't feel like I deserve the complimentary gifts. I've not claimed either of them yet, because even though I did lose some stuff, I got that back when they did the fix. And then when they run that second fix with the green stars, I ended up with more fragments. I have more Dumbledore currently fragments to use than I've ever seen in the game. Never mind Court. It's crazy the way that they run the fix. Like, I was lucky or unlucky that I caught a snitch when I was on 43 out of 30. It put me down to 30 out of 30, and I placed that image in the time frame that they allowed for the fix to happen. So just because of that snitch, I literally got double fragments for everything in the game.
Yeah,
I was able to prestige all the way through to gold on every challenge page, and then I got all those fragments back again.
Yeah,
so I've had like 350 red books.
Yeah, same. I know I've come out of it. I mean, I didn't do the numbers as much because it was just too crazy to even try and fathom what was going on. But I feel like I benefited from it, the updates, happening, and I got more from it than I should have done. I just feel so awful for the people whose game has just been completely spoilt, and their feelings in the game has been spoilt. I mean, they were hard enough trying to keep players as it is. Pokemon really attracts players and attracts new players, and is quite a high revenue game. And WoW just doesn't bring in that. To do something like this to the players who are loyal just feels just so detrimental to the game.
And that's exactly what it is. It's the players who played the most and spent the most who have lost out the most.
Yeah.
I mean, how much have you spent, Laura? You've spent quite a bit in the game.
I don't want to do the maths, but I currently have over 12,000 coins sat on my account that I've not used since before all of this.
I was in the middle on this because I had the appropriate amount of faith in Warner Brothers Niantic and literally pressed nothing. I prestiged nothing. I did nothing. I didn't touch anything. I went to bed. I woke up at whatever time in the morning and saw 800 messages in our group. Tried and failed to understand what was going on. So I just decided again to carry on not pressing anything. I didn't return anything. I just sat there and waited. So I wasn't affected necessarily. I didn't lose anything. When the fix, quote unquote, came through, I didn't get anything extra either. So I think I was firmly in the middle. I haven't had any extra books. I was able to get the challenge pages up to gold with one exception, which was the wands, one of the wands pages. I just prestiged that to bronze.
Yeah.
Very proud of, and now I'm still very much bronze on it, frustratingly as it goes. But, with Beth, it kind of feels like almost double whammy that it just didn't happen at all.
Yeah, and there were pages I know that we all had just prestiged, and we feel like we're much further behind other people because we didn't get to use the extra fragments. It was so weird. But yeah, Ray was in the same position as James, weren't you? You didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything. I didn't get any. I don't think my account was ever reviewed properly.
You did lose.
Lost a couple of grades. I think some forks as well. So I mean, I was lucky, I guess, compared to some people I know. Lots of people have lost a lot of things, but I still lost out of it. And I think that's the key in all of this is that everyone has felt some kind of knockback from this, which I mean the ultimate aim of it, I feel, was to actually create some longevity for Wizards Unite. The ultimate aim was to try and those foundables you keep seeing in the wild, you think, well, I've already used that, I'm done with that. You can now literally stick it down and just catch them all again as if they were anew again. And I get that, he's trying to add a bit of longevity to the game, but what has happened is just it's torn the community apart.
I was always a bit worried about the numbers anyway. They're too low for people like us who constantly do Dark Detector sessions, that kind of thing. That we would have been gold very soon anyway without any, on every page, without them reducing the numbers. So I was always a bit iffy whether or not I liked that. I do like placing things again. I've liked seeing things like, harps that I never needed before, and now I do. It's good to see those things in the wild again.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. From my side, the initial issue cost me all of my challenge foundables, bar my wands, because I've had the sense to at least leave them, I suppose. And then obviously a bit of salt in the wound, seeing the fix get people double, triple. I mean, I've done over 6,000 wizarding challenges and I can't even finish Magi because I don't have enough red books. Like, that's such a punch in the gut. So, it is frustrating. And I think I agree with Steph. The box, or whatever you want to call it, the complimentary pack, it's just a joke. I'd rather not have anything.
Yeah.
To me, that says that they assume that the full scale of people's losses amount to that. And I think that's actually more insulting.
Yeah,
definitely.
That they have the audacity to not listen to their community, or either not listen or not believe their community when we're saying how much we're losing, because they've now reduced it down to that pack.
That pack doesn't actually include any resources that we would have taken to collect those fragments.
Yeah.
Where's our dawdle drafts, the extra spell energy, the dark detectors, the silver keys for all the port keys?
Yeah, let's unpack those boxes. So the first box we received had 250 gold, 15 restricted books, 15 spell books, 6 potent, strong, and estimino. And now this
box, man, it kills me, honestly.
Without those 2 sets of books, the total cost of that was 1,050 coins. The 18 potions is an £800 coin crate, and 250 coins, like just over 1,000. That's nothing. Their individual boxes cost more than that for the bonus bundles and things.
And then, like you mentioned as well, you don't have the resources to catch the things that you had in the first place. I mean, this second box has a lack of dawdle draft, there's a lack of dark detectors, there's no silver keys, very little spell energy. I mean, essentially what they've done is increase the capacity of ingredients, seeds. Why?
Potions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like they're preparing you for something rather than saying sorry for something.
Yeah.
Precisely that.
Yeah, because, we got extra seeds and ingredients for this brilliant event as well that's just finished.
Yeah.
So
it feels like they're building you up to something, but that's not what that should be about. That should be a massive apology, especially to those who really did get affected. And I feel like they really needed to, and I know it would be difficult to do it on an individual basis because it is difficult to see exactly what people lost, but they really should have been reflected in books for me.
I mean, 15
really think
red books.
We already know they can look into people's accounts because they've made that very clear on the forum. And that's where I think they've kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit, because I've seen, and certainly this isn't the extent of where they've looked into people's accounts, but I've seen a couple of snarky comments from the mods and admins on there where people have said, I've tried to, claim spell energy and it's glitched and whatever. And they've replied and gone, well, I've had a look in your account and I can see X, Y, Z. And you just think, if you can do it to prove somebody wrong, then why on earth can you not do it to make good what you've essentially ruined?
Yeah, precisely.
Everybody should, but I've not actually read the terms and conditions of the game or even signed up for the
You
forum.
haven't? I read them exclusively.
But my first thought when I saw that was, wait, don't you need permission to go into somebody's account? This wasn't somebody who said, can you check my account?
Yeah.
That was just somebody saying it didn't clock up the 2 sets of spell energy that I picked up. And I was like, wow, are they able to just go in your account and do that and then announce it on a forum to everybody?
It's just, it's all very confusing. I mean, this second box is perhaps more confusing than the first. I mean, at least they gave us some gold in the first one, right? At least they gave us some, some potions.
There are 5 potents in this one.
There's 5 potents.
5 potents.
It's just such a strange box. And I think Stephanie hit the nail on the head. It feels like it's, but look what's coming in year 2, as opposed to, this is what we didn't get right in year 1. And it's kind of not how you should do that.
Yeah.
It's not the right approach.
I still find it weird that their reply when asked why did they make these changes was that it was something that was requested during the beta. It's like a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, honestly, I don't troll the forums. I'm not on Reddit every day. I don't know. But I can't remember many people actually calling for this before it happened.
I did see a lot of the more casual players or rural players saying that they were never going to even prestige the first page, never mind get to gold. So there has been talked about a little bit that the numbers should be changed, but that should have happened 6 months ago or more.
Like, I get, and what I think the strangest thing of me from all of this was how well the night bus went off. Like, we all thought the worst when that was coming out. We thought, right, they're going to launch that. The launch is going to be botched. It's going to be terrible. Actually, the launch was fantastic. I thought it was quite seamless the way it all came together. They actually gave us enough notice that it was coming. It got people excited and hyped up. And
no server crashes.
No server crashes. Yeah, that was the main thing. I mean, I was expecting the server to go, but it was great. It went seamlessly. And then, we had a couple of weeks of that, a bit of good grace. You had the community day, which kind of focused on that a little bit. And then this. I mean, it's like you're on a high. You're literally, your trajectory is actually going up. And you've decided to just plunge downward with just madness.
And then,
madness.
Yeah, lack of communication and crazy updates. And like you said, like the communication, if you don't read the forums, you wouldn't have stood a chance.
No. And I feel like they kept it off Reddit and Discord on purpose, because HP Woo Lola said that she's going to be popping into Discord soon to kind of take over, but they want all the bug reports to go through the forum, which is understandable. It's in a thread, is easier to check, because Discord is just a continuous chat. It's very hard to search through it. But I feel like they've stayed off on purpose during all of this, just so they couldn't see like how many people were actually affected. It's weird. It's the only time Lola's been on Reddit is to post what the complimentary box was going to.
For things which are that big, you shouldn't need to be going onto any kind of social media to find out what's going on. Exactly. It should just be news. Through in-game news that should have come through on, and it's as simple as you shouldn't need to be going on to, should I look at Twitter? Should I look at Discord? Should I look, on different forums, on, or pages on Facebook in groups, just trying to find the information? It just shouldn't be the case. I mean, you see in our chat, we had like James was saying, 800 messages when he logged on in the morning.
And
it was insane. I mean, I run the group with you, and I think I woke up to 500 messages and said, do I need to read these?
And you asked me for a synopsis because I didn't.
And that's the thing, right? I mean, living with Laurie, I'm not even kidding. She melted my brain for about 3 weeks trying to explain this to me. And even at the end of it, I still felt, not only was my brain coming out from my nose, I still didn't get it. I
think my problem was I understood what they were trying to do and what happened quite quickly. But trying to explain that was hard, especially since what they were trying to do was a good thing, but they did it so bad that it ended up being terrible. Really bad. And then HP Woo Lola comes out last week sometime or a few days ago and was like, would you like a guide? How did it work?
Oh, yes, please. Thanks.
I mean, that was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
I've been waiting for that guide for 3 weeks and haven't played the game. Thank you.
But I mean, people asked Phases before she left about it, and Phases came back and said that we've been too busy working on events. And it's like, you should have just paused events and did it. This was important enough that you should have made it right.
To be honest, the initial, change, it was really frustrating. And, I know I lost all my stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm kind of at the point now, I'm like, well, whatever. It was the fix and the response to the fix that has made me vow never to spend another penny.
Yeah.
Because I understand that things go wrong. I get that. But they didn't learn from their mistakes. They didn't QA the fix. They didn't communicate the changes, the issues with the fix. So all the things that went wrong in the first place, they learned absolutely nothing from it. And then the resolution to something that was supposed to be a fix that actually wrecked people's games even more than the first one is, sorry, we can't do anything, get on with it.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, there is absolutely no way. The first time around, you can understand trying to put through a big change. I get that. Things go wrong. Sorry, fine. The second time, I'm like, absolutely not, because you had opportunities to make this a really good learning curve, a really good learning, experience. And if this goes wrong in the future, I have no faith now that they'll respond in any other way. So from that point was where I kind of went, no, that's it now, no more money. That's me done in terms of paying to play this game. So, I really feel like they had an opportunity. I mean, James always goes on about it, working in, you know, customer service. I'll let him explain it because he can better. But yeah, for me, that was the last straw.
I always say every complaint is an opportunity. You talk about a promoter score. Most of us have neutral feelings about most things. When something goes wrong, your feelings about it will naturally dip. If you get the solution you want and it's done in the right way, your overall feeling about that will actually improve from where it was originally. So this was an opportunity for them, and they just haven't done it. And like you said, the fact that they were talking about carrying on with events or too busy with events, you know, the analogy that comes to mind for me is carry on driving your car down the motorway when it's on fire. It'll probably burn itself out eventually, or if we go fast enough, the wind will blow the flames away. It's not how it works. Stop, pull over, cease everything, put the fire out, then you can carry on going again.
Exactly. I'm sure that nobody would have minded missing an event or two.
Mm-hmm. I would have been quite happy to have a bit of a break, to be honest. I mean, you know, I think sometimes it could be for full on, right? I mean, like, we get about 4 events a month. And I think I said this on the last podcast, how with the brilliant events, you see 14 purple spawns. You see purple spawns for 14 days of a month. That's a long time to see those purple spawns. And they could have just prolonged that a bit longer anyway, because like people see them longer than they need them. So, I mean, they could have kept that going and then just could have fixed some of the issues they had with the game and then given us a bit of time to, you know, a bit longer with maybe a community day or something. I don't know. But it just seems silly to keep pushing and pushing more events on you when you clearly got a massive, significant issue you need to resolve. It's definitely been one of those updates. And I think it's no doubt, no question about it. It's divided our community. I know it's divided many other communities around the internet. It's really, there's some people who've vowed never to play the game again. Obviously, I know you've both just said you've vowed never to spend money in the game again. So it's been a challenge. And
like I keep saying, I wish that they could have just done something that was good enough that everybody could have said, okay, you know, we'll forgive you now and we'll move on and we'll start playing and enjoying the game that we love.
They are part of Niantic. I mean, we all remember Pokemon in him. It was horrendous. It was all unplayable at times. Yeah. They've got the most perfect case study to learn from.
Exactly.
They company.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened with Pokemon? What did they change? What did they start to do better? The money that Pokemon earns, the revenue that they bring in is obscene. They've made so many fantastic changes. I never thought there would come a day where I'd be absolutely raving about Pokemon Go's communication. Their communication is world class at the moment. They're fantastic. Their in-app support is fantastic. Their communication through the news section in the game is amazing. Their blogs are brilliant.
I mean, I'll say this for Pokemon Go. Like, obviously, when all this happened, I thought, right, that's me. I'm going to play on my gaming backlog, and I've got a lot of games to play through on PlayStation, on Xbox, a lot. I've got a lot to play through. I did not expect to still be playing Pokemon Go as much as I have. I really didn't, and I think that's a testament to what Niantic have achieved with, you know, remote raiding, you know, with the buddy system, with your friendships, everything, the PvP. There's so much they've managed to include in this short space of time to make the game fully playable that in a weird way they've kind of made it even more accessible than it ever was and potentially got themselves a wider consumer base. Who would have ever thought that was possible after beginning this, you know?
Do you know where all those ideas come from? Community. Listening to the community. People have been banging on about remote raiding, about PvP. I mean, PvP was obviously supposed to come in since the beginning, but all of these things, their community has been requesting over and over, and slowly but surely they've listened and implemented everything. Well, not everything, because that cowboy hat had to be, guys.
One day.
But pretty much, you know, all the big things that their community was requesting, they've gone and listened and made them a priority. And that's surely that is what is keeping people playing the game, because we're getting what we want.
The game is
we see how many new players are coming through.
Yeah.
Woo's not even a year old and it feels stagnant. There's your comparison right there.
So do you think that I'm kind of split on this, because I also think, right, it took Pokemon years to implement the changes, implement the PvP, implement the friends, implement the trade-in, adventure sync, and, you know, whatnot. Now, obviously, Woo has only been going for a year and has a lot of these things in place already. Now, in one way, I think, well, you know, compared to Pokemon, they've, you know, really tried to throw everything into this game that kind of works in Pokemon. So, you know, I'm really grateful that they've done it within this short space of time. I mean, Adventure Sync, But also at the same time, it should just be easy, yeah? Because they basically copying what they've already coded for one game into another. It should be, fairly simple to make that change. So I'm always kind of split the thinking, that it did take Pokemon years to get all this right.
Yeah.
And so are we just to expect errors because they've...
It's a fair point. I mean, but you'd think that they would have a head start in some ways,
Yeah, exactly. Like when a company comes out with a new product, you don't expect that product to have all the same initial faults that the first one did, because you should have already got past that and learned from it. Even though I know WB are on board with this one, it's not all Niantic, they've got the resources there with Niantic to be able to, learn from that and ask for some advice if need be.
It is a fair point, though. I mean, obviously, we've been very patient with Pokemon Go. I mean, it's obviously it's taken a long time to get to the point that it's at, but at the same time, you feel, as you say, everything's in place.
It was always enjoyable. There were obviously frustrations, and there still are. And there are things that Woo does much better than Pogo. The friends system is much better on Woo than it is on Pogo.
Yeah.
I know that they're going to be having some changes soon on Pogo, but you feel like that could have come a long time ago. Yeah. Being able to see who you can send a gift to. I mean, that should have been in from the beginning, as soon as Friends was, out.
Yeah. But you still can't search for a friend on Woo.
No.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I definitely agree that, definitely important to recognise how long it took Pokemon to get to this point. But for me, it kind of feels a lot of the time like Woo copies the best parts of Pokemon, or certainly the bits that they know people enjoy the most, like, Wizard Challenges, i.e. raids, friending, adventure sync, and then the things that Woo does over and above Pokemon, to me, it kind of feels like they're just looking for like a badge of honor. I'm sure I've said this to some of you before, but like with the Night Bus, I just felt like they were trying to race Pokemon to be first, to have that remote raiding. And, I know you guys were saying earlier that the Night Bus went off without a hitch and it was great and whatever, and it was. It did go off relatively smoothly. Yeah. But actually, the second fix, or rather the fix, it seems like there was a quite clear association between people who lost their stars being on the Night Bus when it went out. So it may have been that there was a massive loophole there.
Yeah.
They didn't test properly.
Yeah. It's like people were finishing challenges and they were seeing that they had like 45 out of, 7 fragments. And they went into the registry and none of them were there.
And it did seem like there was quite a strong correlation of, people who got no fix but lost stars. Yeah. Most of them seemed to be on the bus. So to me, that screams a glaring loophole in their coding that, maybe they were, first to get remote raiding or challenges or whatever you want to call it out. But did they actually, and we then come full circle back to QAing, and I think that's the core of all their problems.
Yeah,
but they've got someone hiring for it now.
You're hiring a QA manager, so
it'll all be sorted.
Yeah, no, but that is true.
And applied, so fingers crossed one of us gets it, so we can sort this out.
And speaking of that, there was that comment that HP Robert put, well, I can play or I can do it, so it's fine. And it's like,
it's all right then.
Just because you can.
Good for you, Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is a tough issue, and I do sympathise with people who've really suffered as a effect of this, and I hope that people do return to Woo at some point. I know.
I felt sorry for Animagus. I don't know whether any of you watched his video it was about 12 minutes talking about the registry, and the first 5 minutes was literally apologising to people because he was one of the first that told everybody to prestige.
Oh no!
So it
was
so hard to watch. Love him because he said he told himself that he would be cautious and make sure he was working first, and then as soon as it went live, he got so excited. He was like, "It's live."
Actually, this is another key point, right? Because we've noticed that the content creators are the ones that are delivering the news for Wizards Unite, which in of itself is strange. That's a whole other issue. I'll get into that another time, but I think that's really odd. Anyway, the community, the content creators seemed, as a result of this, very apprehensive to talk now. I've noticed.
Don't blame them.
they've gone very quiet because they've gone back to their communities with this information. And as you mentioned with Animagus, and as a result of there's been backlash on them when, it's not their fault. This isn't their issue.
No.
They've literally, all they're communicating is the information they've been provided. If Wizards Unite and WB Games, Portkey, whoever want to rely on these content creators to provide this information to their communities going forward and be their spokespeople, essentially, they're going to have to be better with them too, not just with us, with them.
Yeah.
They're turning them into fall guys instead.
Yeah.
They take all the flack and they can just hide behind it. It's not fair.
It's not fair.
Exactly. And I think that since Phases has left as well, they haven't replaced her properly. So, like, we've noticed that some information has been quite delayed now, where normally we get plenty of notice on, events and stuff and tasks. It was quite delayed for the Brilliant event because I don't think they've got anybody doing the work full time. But
yeah, hopefully it speeds up and it's just a phase they're going through.
They either replace Phases or whoever is going to do it gets okay with it.
Oh, dear me.
It's like being in the pub all over again on our nights.
I apologize for him.
I was very unexpected of you, James.
Oh my God.
No, we got them together.
But I mean, I think we could literally talk about this fragment count all night because I think it's generally upset all of us. I mean, on some level, one way or another, it's upset all of us. And and I do feel sorry for people who are affected by it.
Yeah, and I don't think we're ever going to forget it. But if we're choosing to stick with the game, play the game, we're going to have to choose to get over it a bit. Not like, completely, because we never can, because the trust issue is always going to be there now. We're never going to trust them quite the same again. Yeah, we need to kind of draw a line in the sand and continue on into year 2.
But yes, I think this could be the beginning of the big change for the game. Because currently we're on the Brilliant Event Part 1, which actually presents some interesting possibilities. So as you probably have noticed, you've been catching things that you've been using throughout the game, like dark detectors are in there, portmanteaus.
The landmark.
The landmark marker. So that's been collecting that, obviously prior to Ron and Harry. And they've got some very interesting dialogue they mention about Grim Forley. So basically they're saying that both of them have come to this conclusion that Grim Forley has appeared to them in a dream and said he's been imprisoned for the year or he's come to them in a vision of some sort. And I thought that was quite an interesting thing that both of them have said that. And that's the first time I think we've really had a nice change to the narrative, because I think people have been calling that, as Beth mentioned about community, they've been demanding and asking for these more chapters, more narrative, more story. And I feel like we're finally getting to that point where we're going to get that story. And it's setting up for quite an interesting year. So what I'm thinking is Brilliant Event Part 1 the beginning of the big positive changes for the game?
Oh man, I hope so.
It has to be, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It is nice to have the narrative. It's nice to learn what's going on. I was saying to Beth the other day, when I placed Ron for the first time, it tells you that he went to work for the Ministry for a bit and then he left to run Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes with his brother.
Yeah.
This is information that's brand new to me. It's kind of nice knowing what's happened to them afterwards to get that extension to the existing story and feel it's part of the game. And I also love the fact that Hermione was completely dismissive of both Harry and Ron when they talked about him talking to them in their sleep. That's
Standard
exactly
Hermione.
It took me back to the Leviosa kind of.
Yeah.
It was nice to have that kind of connection back then, a little bit of a story arc as well.
Yeah, where they say I have a distinct recollection of a conversation with Grim Forley, and he's telling me that he's been held captive for the past year. God, yeah. I mean, there are some things that they are reusing, not so much from the books, but from additional information. So the Ron Weasley information has been out there for years about him going to work in Wizard Wheezers. I can never remember which order those words are in. But yeah, so it's nice that they're incorporating things that are not just from the films or the books, but extra information.
It's an interesting reminder of where we've been, and I think what comes next. Because I mean, even in Part 2, there are things that we've been collecting as well throughout the game or been using, and I'm wondering how that is all going to tie into, because they're saying about how the calamity is becoming more unstable. So it's leading into things, isn't it? Thinking potentially beginning of July, we could be seeing year 2 essentially. What happens there?
because like we were all thinking there'd be something for the anniversary, but then I'm thinking perhaps this month they're going to use it to finish off the first year, and then next month there's like a start of year 2. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I don't know whether I should be. I mean, Orange Wizard basically said that as far as he knows, that there is nothing new coming in the foreseeable future. But would they tell them this big, this much information? They give them event info and stuff, but would they have given them basically all of this up front?
WB are in an interesting position. So obviously coronavirus has kind of impacted their business model massively. They were apparently due to have a big, massive conference around about now. This is sort of like gaming E3. They were due to have a big conference. And there's apparently talk of a new massive Harry Potter RPG being announced, new Batman games, all sorts of stuff. That seems like it might have gone on the back burner due to COVID. So there's a lot of speculation as to if they did do something like that, would there have been Wizards Unite announcement from that as well? So that's obviously tied into that potentially. So if there was something to do with that, obviously that would have been kept under strict NDA. Not many people would have known about it, and therefore the content creators wouldn't have known. So it's possible, yeah.
Yeah, like I think they might have.
We can't just keep.
Yeah, exactly. We need new lessons now. We need.
Absolutely terrified about that, man, because the second they bring it out, what if they just wipe all of our trees by accident?
Oh god.
I honestly have no faith at the moment.
No.
That would be the new fix. We're going to undo all the red books you burned by accident over the last month or so and just make you all start from scratch again.
But you joke about that.
You joke about it, but
I have actually been thinking, are they going to nerf some of our skills that we've learned?
I think they will.
Magizoologists you can be invincible, take no damage already, right? And professors can fit certain conditions, like if they've got the enhancements and things, they can become invincible as well. Only auras, we get smashed really hard. But what are they going to do in the next lesson? Are they going to come out with really difficult foes where their stats are always higher than you can earn? So we can break down, as auras, we can break down their defense stats and the defense breach to 0%.
Yeah, I think it begins with new enemies, and then from there they can determine new abilities. I think that's what makes most sense.
I think that we need enemies that are always better than our skills can affect. Like, I don't think it should ever have been that you take no damage at all with certain conditions. It's just weird. It's like, where'd you go from that?
And that's exactly where do you go from that? And it does make you think that, there will be some nerfing going on at some point.
Either they'll suddenly retrospectively change skills. I hope they don't do that. They can't. Just make stronger foes.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily mind that so much, but then I suppose we're used to that with PvP. Moves rebalanced all the time because they're too overpowered. Yeah. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. It's just about adjusting to it. And so I wouldn't mind that so much. I just don't want them to touch my account anymore.
This is it, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, I don't think they would have to touch accounts. So, for instance, proficiency for professors, the max that you can have that is 44%. So maybe they'll change it so the max can be like 30% instead. So instead of touching individuals' accounts, they just change that skill for everybody. So it's rebalanced. When they bring in
lesson plan 2, they'll then give you the opportunity to take it up to 60%. So your payoff is, whilst it's reduced in the short term, it's lesson plan 2, so you can actually earn it and make it more.
Exactly.
I'd be okay with that.
Oh, see, I don't know if I would. I don't know. I'm all for like powers being rebalanced for rebalancing's sake. I.e., like in PvP, if something's too overpowered. But if they're going to reduce them just to make you buy them again, I don't know, that feels a bit mean.
Maybe there's other things they can bring in, though. There's only, 5 different kinds of 5 or 6 different things you can spend it on. You had stamina, defense breach, proficiency, etc. Maybe they can add to it. Rather than reducing or increasing existing ones, they broaden it.
Personally, I think they need their own version of PvP. So that you can have like individual skills if you choose to spend on them, and depending what skills you have, you can go on in one-on-one battles with other wizards. I think that's where they need to start expanding out to. PvP in Pokemon has been hugely successful, in my opinion. Even people who aren't all that bothered on PvP still do it. And, certainly with the inclusion of the Marill PvP day, which, as far as I'm aware, was a huge success. I know I really enjoyed it. You know, I think that would be a really good way to expand. And then there's plenty of things that they can do with that. You know, like I said, individual abilities, individual potions that can enhance you for a battle. You know, again, if you wanted to get professions to factor into that somehow, then you could. Maybe you would have, you know, a particular, I don't know, Patronus or a particular animal that you could choose to take into battle with you that would help. Like, there's so much they could do with it.
I feel like we're a long way off from that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the only reason why I think they won't do that is from the beginning they said that they would never have it so that we all, like, have to battle against each other. It was always meant to be a united... So that's why they've got the 3 professions come together in challenges. But you know what? Games change, what they say from the start and how they progress. And especially if the players are asking for it, they can change their outlook from the start.
Yeah. I mean, didn't that happen with Pokemon? Like, the PvP system was
they've rebalanced a lot of that, but it's more, for instance, the gym system. They've changed the gym system completely from the beginning. So, yeah, and I mean, they're going to be changing it again with the coins.
It seems like the most obvious win, right? Wizard Duels. It seems like the most obvious things adding to the game. It really does.
I still really want bosses where we all can, like, maybe a turn-based thing where we have to try and do the most effective spell against them. Like, so an aura needs to do this now, a proc needs to do that, and that would be amazing, where we're all trying to take it down.
Dungeons and Dragons board games where one of you needs to cast this, and then this person does this, which means this person does this. And if you're not communicating or you do it in the wrong order, it doesn't do it. But if you all come together and do everything in the right order and you're communicating correctly, you can take it down. I think that'll be
yeah, definitely.
That would be amazing. There is still so much that they can get right with this game.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I think, yeah, so much they can get wrong, so much they can tinker with and break, yeah. But I think, like, Beth hit the nail on the head earlier when she was saying about, like, you know, how, like, basically Wizards Unite is not really focusing on the strengths of itself. So, like, it seems to want to be the best of Pokemon Go, whereas I think now there's an opportunity here to kind of, you know, set your wings free and just break free and go wild and actually explore the kind of things that, you know, that they specialize in and that they're actually good at. Like, you know, we've said from the beginning, fortressing is the best part of Wizards Unite, 100%. It really is, and it's also the most creative part of the game. And they still, even now, even with the Night Bus, they're still not doing enough of it.
I mean, they brought in those, you know, the witches and the female Death Eaters for Halloween, and that was the only change, the fortressing we have seen since the start. We haven't seen anything like that again. And I know there are issues with the Night Bus, like people not being able to find proper teams to play with. Like, we sometimes take forever to get the right profession if we need one extra, or people not knowing what they're doing. And they did eventually come up with a guide to help, but not sure how much that did help. And then you've got other problems where during this brilliant event, people had to complete their highest unlocked chamber.
That was insane.
And, you know, many people were pushed to do that on the last community day. Now I had to do it again, and then you know, it got out that you didn't actually have to win. All you have to do is, like, wait for the timer. So you've got people sat there not fighting, and it's like, no.
I've genuinely stayed away from the bus since you know, the last few days. Since, you know, you've got, like, the slower players that are not, you know, they just kind of wanting to complete the event. They take longer. So, you know, like the hardcore players, they're all going to be doing that straight away, as early as they can within the first couple of days. And you could see the Night Bus was getting worse and worse as the days were going on, and the challenges, you know, you're going into the higher chambers, and then people were just playing crazy.
Like, I know that private lobbies will have the potential to leave a lot of people out who have finally been able to play with teams for the first time, but there are loads of people who would still, like, if I go on, I do randomly like trying to find out, right, what's my team going to be now? Even though I know that I can find my friends if I want to, I do like playing with the random people. It's fun. It's challenging.
It can be fun.
It can be fun.
There's definitely times when it's not fun.
Yeah. I like to play both. You know, I said, you know, we do our little meetups, but, you know, every now and again I'll go in and I think, right, you know, I've got half an hour to spare. You know, just try and do a couple of fortresses with some randoms, and I mean, in the main, always said I've had more positives and negatives to say, but they bring out these events and it brings out, the
Bad
habits. It really does.
Yeah.
Really
Very
bad habits.
bad
And
I do think they need to reduce the number of buses or servers, wherever, because sometimes I'll go in and there's nobody in any of the darks at all.
Yeah.
And trying to find anybody is really difficult. Like, I have to go onto lots of different buses just to find people.
Yeah, and I think when we were doing the meetups, so on the community day, it was always busy.
Yeah.
And it was always busy. Then they had the perfect number, I think, and then, it was sometimes hard for us because we were trying to play as a group to get into the one chamber, but, a few attempts and we did get there. But I think on a normal day-to-day basis, they need to cut those servers down, switch them on for the busy events, but, for a normal day-to-day, definitely have them less. And then, it's been one of the reasons that I've added another profession is just because I never see any magis when I'm going into these higher chambers. There are generally just, auras and professors until I'm a magi, and then I see all the magis. So
I went into Dark Fire the other day when I joined. There were 4. I was the 5th magi in there.
I saw. Yeah.
It's always the way, and I don't know if they've increased the number of buses or whether the initial hype about it is just reduced and fewer people are in there. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's
So
hard
then,
to
even from the beginning, it was never like overly busy.
No,
I just hopped on now, and there's 3 people in lobbies on this whole night bus. That's just crazy. I know there might be people actually playing, but still, lobby should at least have a couple of people every now and then.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many people have actually dropped off the game completely, though, after the update.
Yeah.
It could be that, exactly. I've got a different take on the buses, though. I don't, when there's lower level people in there, I kind of, as a relatively powerful magi, I kind of see it as my responsibility almost to help. Because if you've got someone in there trying to do Tower 6 or Tower 7, because that's their highest one, and they're really struggling, then I'm thinking, well, I kind of want to be in there to help out, almost, to take them. I did a Ruins Chamber 2 the other day with an aura, and it took them 6 goes to take a guy out, like a dark wizard out, which they're proficient against. And I spotted that, so I kind of cleared up the rest of the foes, and I was like, I know that's an extreme.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I did that, and like with the last community day where people had to do progressively all the way up to Dark 5, towards the end of, say, Pacific time in America, there weren't many people on the bus because the rest of the world had completed it. So I stayed up quite late, and I was jumping on and helping out a lot because people were having trouble finding a team to do it with towards the end of that day. So,
exactly.
I like...
So it goes back to how we normally used to do the fortresses when we would meet up.
Yeah.
Lower level players, we'd invite them to join us as part of the community, and say the highest one was a Forest 1 or a Forest 2, we would take our time to take them up to Dark Chamber 5.
Yeah.
So that is still something you can do, but it is at the same time very frustrating when you see someone and they're doing absolutely nothing.
This is my issue this time
as well, and lose my runestone. I'm like, do you know what? I'll make a point here.
I'd rather lose it, and I had the same issue this time round. I mean, for the community day, I was jumping in every which way and trying to help people and get them up, and we were trying to do it with friends. I was doing it, just when you could see there's a lot of random people. I hop into their chambers as well. But what I found with these ones is, and what we discovered then afterwards, is a lot of people were saying you don't have to win it. And then you were finding people were going in and not playing, or
they'd like revive you if it was a magi, for instance, or put a shield on you if it was a prof, and that was it. And that's how you knew they weren't glitched. They were there, they were playing or not playing. Because, a lot of the bugs from the beginning where everybody would get booted if somebody died, especially the first one, that's gone. Or if it hasn't, it's really gone down to the point where nobody is talking about it anymore.
No, it has gone. It has gone.
Yeah.
As a magi, I don't feel the pressure to keep people alive anymore. I can just let them die. Although people still don't seem to know that. I've still seen people sat there with a slither of health and they stop thing. So they go,
Potion.
Bring you back. Bring you back. I'm here. I'm ready.
You don't need to use your potions. It's fine.
It's
got
fine.
you. So I guess it's best to kind of round this up and sort of say, obviously, we mentioned year 2 is coming. We've mentioned some of the things we'd love to see with year 2. Year one is now coming to a close. I mean, what do you think? What was your favourite part of year one? Obviously, well, I think we all know what our low point was, but what was your favourite part of year one?
So for me, it would have been, I think the highlight through the whole year was our community Fortress Day that we had together. That's probably the fun.
The very first Fortress Community Day, because there's been 3, right? There was the one, I don't even know when.
The Halloween one?
No, Halloween, but then there was another one before that. And then there was a second one, which was the guaranteed foundables they brought in for that one. And then obviously it was the night bus one. But yeah, that very first one was really good. Yeah. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably one of my favorites as well. Because I mean, that's really what brought us together as a community, I think, and really kind of like, said that this is a community focused game. And I think we've kind of noticed, and we chatted a bit about it before, about how since we've been a bit apart, that it's not really felt the same, because I think we just generally thrives from that. I mean, Pokemon you can play on your own, it's still fine. It's you're challenging yourself on your own decks and your own PvP and things like that. But with Woo, it's very much about, yes, of course, you've got the nice sticker collections and things, but it's all about like working together as a team and helping each other and things. So I think we do miss that.
We from the beginning, from day one, we used it as a very social game. We always played together. So for us, that is what the game is and was. And we have missed being able to do that in person. But, our Zoom nights are good.
There's ways to do it.
Jumping on the night bus together is good.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure dark detectors are needed for most of us anymore.
Yes, they've really boosted those foundables, haven't they? Wow.
I think I'm the only one using them.
Yeah.
The only one who hasn't got a stash full for when we're actually allowed to see each other. And I've got like my 10 to contribute.
Yeah. But if they don't come up with new pages, not many of us will need to use them. Anyway, because we're either very close to gold or finished on gold on most pages.
Yeah.
And I really want new challenge pages as well.
Yeah.
There's loads of them in the official guide that are not in the game. But I was really hoping for the new Magical Games ones, because there's some Quidditch banners that they haven't put in.
The team banners. Yeah. I was really excited about that and thinking this is like the ideal time to introduce those, and then disappointed.
Because it's weird, right? Every single page in the book that is in the normal exploration registry was in the game, but everything they've added new has always been in that part of the registry, whereas they've got, I think, at least 10 pages on the challenge registry that are in the book and not in the game.
Yeah.
So you'd think that they've already got those assets to go. Why haven't they put those in?
And that's where I think the rune stones, we're going to have, I'm pretty sure the rune stones in the book go up to 10 as well, right? But we only see them up.
That's what they've been talking about, yeah.
Yeah, there's an image.
6 to 10 come, that's where the next challenge page is.
Yeah, I think so. That makes sense. Yeah, there's been these little nods and winks to this sort of thing, especially like with the data mines have been coming out, and obviously with the brilliant event as well, it's been showing these things. So there's been things for the future, definitely.
And we have been told that there is new exciting content to come that will make us happy.
Well, I mean, I think this is ultimately what we've come to the conclusion we've drawn to, is that following the year one fallout, which I mean, this year has kind of just stumbled over the line in terms of the registry. It's just been a nightmare.
Yeah.
We really need something to really boost year two, to kick it off with a bang. And if we don't get that, then who knows?
I mean, they really need something. Everybody's been talking about new lessons for months. And all of us have been expecting this time. Imagine if they don't do it for another few months.
Yeah.
We're going to be like 80 and we'll be like, new lessons are coming soon.
It's been 84 years.
It was quite interesting.
I'm sitting on a big old pile of books. I'm refusing to spend it on anything else. I'm ready for Magi Part 2.
He sat on his pile of books over there. But literally.
Phases was on a DC Legends podcast, because she used to be the community manager for DC Legends, which is another WB game. So they finally got her on after she left WB. She was allowed to go on. And she was saying from the start that when they had coming soon for all the new lessons and stuff, she was telling them, guys, don't do it. You did it with DC Legends and it wasn't coming soon and nobody was happy. So even from the start, she knew that was not going to make people happy, and yet they still did it. Coming soon, new tasks.
Yeah.
If they don't listen to the community, they're not going to listen to the community manager.
No.
True.
It's like with the SOS tasks, I really don't understand it. They can't be that difficult to come up with new tasks, surely, and to code in.
Well,
Is it really that hard?
You don't even have to make it difficult.
No.
well, apparently you do.
You know, just have them like, you know, you have like your daily tasks. Just, you know.
Yeah, or research tasks. I mean, I don't know why on earth they can't put something in similar to that.
Yeah.
That gets you something slightly rarer.
I'd be all for that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what everybody was thinking was going to happen with Ministry Newt, right? When it first came out, that was a little bit odd.
Random.
Yeah.
The
But
whole
it
Ministry
just turned into just being a normal foundable that just got added.
Ministry Newt is just the most random story of year one. I mean, like, he goes from not being on the page to being on the page.
That should have been the clue that changing the registry was not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Because people were so annoyed about that.
I'm still annoyed about it.
You at least you'd prestige before he got in there.
I know, but now I got to wait because of him. Oh, I don't know.
But yeah, we've got a few more events coming up this month. Any you're particularly looking forward to?
I mean, I've only got 3 pages left to get to gold, and 2 of them are coming up in events, so.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Yes,
So you're pretty much done.
yeah, basically. 4, sorry. So the Young Marauders, the new Quidditch page, the Pensive page, and the Sorting Hat and Forks page. And obviously we've got Pensives being covered by the Community Day, and Dumbledore Portraits is what I'm waiting on for that page, which is obviously covered in the later event. So, I guess looking forward to it, but then I'm not left with much else to do.
I'm particularly looking forward to the elusive Philosopher's Stone, having only seen
very elusive Philosopher's Stone.
I'm really keen to see more of them.
I saw 5 in 2 days after they made that announcement.
I totally see more Pensives and portraits of Albus Dumbledore than they do Philosopher's Stone, 100%.
I mean, I guess it's elusive in the fact that it's a myth and didn't ever exist, but, you know.
It's very pretty, mind. I do like the Philosopher's Stone.
Dumbledore has been boosted a bit as well. We've got 2 at home, right, since the changes. Yeah. So
Yeah, I had one just before this call, actually.
What, Wild?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I got one in a Portkey earlier.
Yeah,
So-
I'm the same. I'm kind of not really looking forward to the events as much because I haven't got that many pages left to get to gold. So
And we've got a 24-hour community day that's going to take me an hour to finish.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what they've said.
I like the grind. I like
I know. I'm
24 hours.
I guess that's what they've said.
losing
Though.
my aim.
It's not meant to be played for 24 hours, but of course we're going to do that.
But even if you just go back to the normal 3 hours, you still would have been done within the first hour. And we don't mean just the tasks, we mean finished gold pages.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I know some people say, I done it in 20 minutes. And I'm like, how? And they just mean the tasks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, finished gold. Yeah. That's always been our aim, pretty much every community day, where they add the whole page out.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it will be bittersweet, and that's why July has to start with a spate of new pages. Has to. It really does.
It really does. Please listen.
Because if it doesn't, then I don't know what we do in the game. I mean, do we just keep resticking stuff and getting even more annoyed with more resticking?
Yeah, like I do like the resticking, but only as a part of still trying to get other stuff that I need.
Yeah.
I think if it was just replacing all of the images I already had, it would get boring very quickly. But there are some things that I see come up now, like Boggart cabinets. I don't know if they've been boosted or I've only just suddenly realised how many are in the wild because I didn't pay attention to them for months.
Yeah.
Where I've had like...
You're just clicking on them hoping that they're portraits of Albus Dumbledore, and that's why you're seeing more.
That's exactly what we've done.
Probably, because I am clicking on them more.
Yeah. And they still will never portraits of Albus Dumbledore. No matter how many times you click on it, they just never...
They were twice.
Yeah, twice in how many clicks?
Are you propagating the myth that they appear in the wild again?
You totally are. It's a lie, Laurie.
Still never seen one outside a Dark Detector session or a Portkey.
Wow.
Bonkers. They are that. They are the elusive thing on the page. 100%.
Definitely.
100%.
Time for a casual flex, though. I only need 4 more for gold.
Now that is a solid flex. I like that.
Wait, I either need 4 more for... What page am I on? Let's have a look.
What page are you on?
Yeah, I need 4 more for gold too.
Boom. That'll do
and
it.
I have enough of everything else but the Fortress Foundables to finish the page.
Wow. Beautiful.
but genuinely, in seriousness, there's not much left to achieve now. A new lesson plan would be good. That would keep me busy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I don't know whether they would do it now. It might be too early in the game, but I would love lesson plans where you had different trees that you had to decide which way to go.
Yeah.
So,
Once
like,
you've gone down that way, you can't go back.
yeah. And that's one way how they're going to be able to get even Magizoologists, for instance, as being different to each other or different auras. And that way, I mean, that benefits more communities because you can discuss and go, well, we're both auras. Why don't I go that way? You go that way.
Yeah.
Which is what we did in the beginning. Like, Steph was always powering one thing up. I was powering another thing up. With you and Ray, one of you did the bravery charm first and one of you did the revive first. So that we always had somebody of strength.
I mean, that's what true RPGs do. I mean, you've got 3 talent trees and everyone has custom builds, and you create those custom builds, and you play around with them. Like, sometimes it's going to be good for against one thing, it's going to be better against another thing. If something new gets added into the game, you play around with the build a bit more. So you're always tampering and tinkering with it, and I think that's a kind of cool feature that they really should be looking to add.
And that would lead into dueling again, because you won't have just 3 different possibilities, just the professions. Each aura you come up against could be slightly different. They could have different powers in different ways, and you wouldn't necessarily know until you started the duel. That would open that up for more more possibilities.
Yeah.
More variables.
That would be great. But yeah, I mean, as we can tell from this discussion, if nothing new is coming, we'll have nothing to talk about.
Yeah. So if you want more Dispatches Tonight,
give us new content.
And on that note, that is probably going to do it for today's show. We hope you have enjoyed this edition for Dispatches Tonight, and hopefully it won't be too long until the next one. But if we don't get new content, what can we do? But a massive thank you to you all for joining me, my co-hosts, and being a part of the show. And we also want to say a huge thank you to those who've been tuning in, supporting the show, and sending in your comments, and even those who've actually been posting about us in Twitch streams and all sorts of stuff. It's really, really cool. It means a lot to us. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it, and we read all of your comments. Make sure to come back for episode 6 as well, as we're going to be joined by a special guest who some of you may know. Ooh. And stay tuned, as we'll be chatting much more about Wizards Unite in the days and weeks ahead. But what did you think of today's show? If you have any questions related to the game, let us know. We'll answer them in a future show. But for now, thanks for tuning in. May your foundables never depart, and your fortresses
always be favourable.